Welcome back, YouTube, once again with the Subaru. I'm leaking like half a quart of power steering fluid a day right now, and it's leaking out of the seal right here in the middle. I don't feel like messing with it because I can just go to the junkyard and get one of these things for like 10 bucks. A new one is $180, so I can buy 18 of these at the junkyard before I cost myself one of those. If this one leaks too, then I'm just going to go to the junkyard again and buy 5 of them. And there's no way that all 5 will leak. I'm going to remove this little shield here for the belt so I can see what I'm doing easier to put on and off. Well, to take off and put on the belt after swapping it. So it's 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter here. Then we just need to loosen this 12 millimeter. Don't take it out, just loosen it. And then this will lift up and pull it out. This is where we're going to start making a small mess. Going to undo this 10 millimeter, remove this hose. Make sure underneath you have a drip pan to catch it. Next, I'm going to work on taking the belt off. 12 millimeter socket. There's a nut here, just loosen it. You don't have to take it out. Then you do a lefty-loosey on here. The alternator will physically drop down. And then you can just pull this off. So there's 2 of these T40 Torx bit bolts on the front of the power steering pump. Gonna have to undo those because that's what's holding it into this U-shaped bracket here. So it sits in a little like cup. There's one directly on the left, one directly on the right. This bracket is held in with this U-shape facing down with these 2 Torx. Use a 14 millimeter to remove the bottom hose. Just pull the wire off of the sensor on the back. It just pulls straight off. Use a 14 millimeter wrench to take out this bottom bolt in the center on the bottom. Pull the bolt out till it hits the block and then pry up on here and the thing will pop out. Use a 17 millimeter, remove the sensor. And we're going to swap this into the new one. I'm going to put the sensor back, and I never just trust O-rings, I only trust right stuff. And it needs to say right stuff, otherwise it's the wrong stuff. So anyways, I just put a little bit on the threads. It's going to push out the back as I screw this in. And then I'm just going to wipe off the excess that is totally smushed out. I did clean both surfaces really good with brake cleaner first so that there's no oils there for this to not stick. So now I'm going to take a 14 millimeter, tighten it down, just wipe off this little bit of extra that came out. So I degreased this piece, I took it off the hose, put the O-ring on. I might have put a little too much right now, but once it squishes it down, I pretty much only put it up to the O-ring. That way it doesn't go in too deep in the hole. And when I squish this down, it's gonna mate with this area here, and the rest will come out, and then I'll wipe off the rest. And actually, not that much actually squeezed out. So now that that's done, I'm gonna wipe the excess and let it dry. Now it's time to put the power steering pump back in the housing. So you're going to slide it in, slide that pin right there through the bottom and start tightening it. Before tightening this bottom back one all the way, we're going to put the front 2 screws in that you took out with the T40 Torx. When you're putting the 2 screws in, don't forget to put this piece in. And it's going to go like this Once we have these two in to where they're in, but it still has a wiggle, I have them pretty much touching. I haven't torqued them yet. Now I'm going to tighten the one in the back, and then I'm going to torque the two in the front. I sprayed all this off with brake cleaner, got it nice and clean. This has like a crush washer setup, so I did not put RTV on this one. But you just torque it down where it's nice and tight. Plug the wire back on the pressure sensor. Plug the harness back in and mount the tab to this outlet here. Alright, to tighten the belt, you just slide the belt over the 3 pulleys. Now what we're going to do is, we're going to tighten this until you can't, to where it doesn't look like this, right? And then on the side, you should barely be able to turn the belt 90 degrees swivel. So let me show you that. So when I say 90 degrees swivel, I mean you can bend the belt 90, but that's it. Now, tighten this 12 millimeter that's right under the belt to lock it down so it doesn't move. Put this hose on, tighten the clamp. Do not use power steering fluid. If you read the cap, it says Dextron ATF. So use Dextron ATF. I don't care what brand. Doesn't really matter. Dextron ATF. Put this bracket back. Put this one in tight first. Then tighten the alternator bolt, which will tighten this side. And then put in this bolt and this bolt here. These are just little 10 mils, so don't try to torque them too crazy. Tighten those down. Thanks for coming and watching, guys. Hopefully I saved you some money so you don't have to pay a dealer a bunch of money to do this, because it's super easy. Realistically, anyone should be able to do it. If I did save you some money, maybe think about hooking me up with $1 a month on Patreon. I know I sound like a douche asking, but hey, I'm trying to put out more videos than I can afford to put out. Anyways, till next time, wrench on.